evening, everyone. On behalf of our Alumni Board, President Clarence Wyatt, our First Lady, Ms. Logie Stone, welcome to the 2017 Alumni Impact Awards. Thank you for coming home to Monmouth to celebrate the accomplishments of our alumni. I am Kelli J, the Associate Director of Alumni Relations, and it is my privilege to begin tonight's program. Before we get to the awards presentation this evening, we'd like to recognize some of our special guests who are in attendance. First, I would like to recognize the true visionaries of our institution, your Monmouth College Board of Trustees, who over the past day and a half have been working to make this college a vibrant and successful place for many years to come. Could I please ask the Board of Trustees in attendance to stand and be recognized? I would also like to introduce our Alumni Board. Would our Alumni Board members please stand? Board are our true eyes and ears of our Alumni Association. The board has undertaken many initiatives over the past few years, and they will be around all weekend to make your homecoming even better. We also have several alumni here with us tonight celebrating reunions. Celebrating our milestone reunions this year are classes of 1977, 82, 87, 92, 97, 02, 07, 2012, and our recent graduates from the class of 2017. So we look forward to seeing their reunion activities throughout the entire weekend. I want to take an opportunity to invite you to our two other ceremonies that are happening throughout the weekend. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, 3 alumni will be inducted into our M Club Hall of Fame. Dr. Nicole Auclair Baker being inducted for her performance in golf and softball. Mr. Blake Boma being inducted for his performance in track, and Mr. Stephen Glasgow for his performance in basketball and baseball. Also tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., 3 alumni will be inducted into the Order of Omega Hall of Fame. Mr. Michael Cortina, a 95 graduate of Zeta Beta Tau, Mr. Ralph Whiteman, who's here with us this evening, a 1952 graduate of Tau Kappa Epsilon, and Miss Catherine Axline Williams, a 1950 graduate of Kappa Kappa Gamma. We honor these Greek recipients for their service to their fraternities post-baccalaureate. We hope you will plan to join us tomorrow for the official induction ceremonies as we recognize these outstanding alumni. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Gina Alcorn, Development and Major Gift Operations Officer and a member of the class of 1988, to the podium to introduce tonight's award winners.
Good evening. Our next portion of the program this evening is to recognize our outstanding alumni for their accomplishments outside the hallways of Monmouth College. The first 5 recipients we are honoring tonight were nominated by members of the Alumni Association and voted on by our Alumni Board. Each year, the Alumni Board receives several quality nominations and has a very hard time choosing the award winners. I want to thank the board for their diligence in making these tough decisions, and tonight's award winners can be especially proud to have been chosen from such a competitive list of nominations. First on the agenda for this evening is the Family of the Year. The honored family is recognized for their consistent and sustained involvement with and support for Monmouth College over several generations. The family selected as the Family of the Year exemplifies qualities toward which Monmouth students should aspire: commitment to service, leadership, and academic achievement. For more than a century, the Austin, Jones, and Campbell families have had a significant impact on Monmouth College through service, academic excellence, philanthropy, and loyalty. As the longtime director of the college's Conservatory of Music, Professor T. Merrill Austin elevated Monmouth's vocal and instrumental programs to academic excellence and national prominence. His late granddaughter, Marion Austin Jones, class of 1950, served as one of the college's first women trustees, and her son, F. Austin Jones, continues her legacy as a member of the Board of Trustees. Austin's daughter Miranda, the latest in a long line of Jones family members to attend the college, graduated in May after having won awards as co-editor of the student newspaper. The Campbell branch of the family has been equally prolific in producing faithful and supportive Monmouth College alumni. Among its ranks was the late Timothy Campbell, class of 1939, a member of the Board of Trustees for 9 years. Through the years, members of the family who did not attend Monmouth have been faithful friends, parents, and spouses. Please join me in welcoming Addison and Austin Jones, who will accept this year's Family of the Year Award on behalf of the Austin, Jones, and Campbell families.
I'm the Jones family patriarch, which is why I'm here today. The patriarch, unfortunately, is not with us other than in spirit, and I'm sure she's here in spirit. And I might say that she was the spark plug for many things in her time. We do appreciate and thank you for this award, for the recognition of the Austin, Campbell, and Jones families. Merrill T. I was never had the privilege to meet him, but another quite prominent professor here at Monmouth, Gracie Peterson. Some of you know Gracie, I'm sure. Told me he was known as Daddy Austin. Whether you know it or not, I married Marion Austin, turned her into a Jones, and took her to Grinnell, Iowa. That is kind of tough on some days, and especially on Saturday afternoons when you read Monmouth 40-something, Grinnell nothing. Again, thank you very much. It's very appreciated.
Well, my mother is we have fond memories of Monmouth College, and my mother was the key in all of that. They wanted comments. I'm not very good at reading what I write. I'm kind of an off-the-cuff guy. So they said no more than 5 minutes, so I better get my clock started. But Marion, I have fond memories of this college going back to my childhood. My brother came here, and I can remember at 6 years old moving into the campus, and as a 6-year-old walking around this beautiful facility, seeing these huge dormitories. Now this was in the late 60s, early 70s when this was going on. The dorm rooms were really psychedelic and was really interesting to see. And it left a lasting impression in my mind. Marion was so fond of Monmouth College. And we grew up here. I grew up hearing all the stories, was able to come back to wonderful events. Dad loved coming back here with her. And she shared her wonderful stories of Monmouth College. She had 3 loves in her life: her family, theater, and Monmouth College. Serving on the Board of Trustees, she was so proud of that. And coming back and giving presentations, she had the art of the theatrics in her, and she would work so diligently to memorize and put on presentations for Monmouth, and she loved coming back and doing that. She instilled in all of us, my brother, who's here with us today too, and my other brother, the need for higher education and a liberal arts education. And the only problem is I didn't come here, and I regret that deeply now. But you know, she did have a way of doing that. She got my nephew, Dave's youngest son, to come, David Ulrich Jones, and my daughter, Miranda came. Miranda loved the experience, and it was so much fun seeing her blossom into a beautiful young woman. And we're so fortunate and so lucky that she found an outstanding fiance that also graduated from Monmouth College. So we're excited about that. So we continue to have a lot of legacy. Now you may see a little boy that's running around. That's my middle daughter's son. And I'm pledging that he'll be the 6th generation. I'm a banker, and I believe in endowment, and I'm going to create a scholarship that he can only get if he comes here. We are a 5th generation, hopefully the 6th generation. Multi-generational is very important for a college, but Monmouth College also strives for 1st generation students. We work really hard at bringing in students that haven't had that opportunity. As a trustee, I see that. I'm excited that we're doing that. We're bringing in that 1st generation. That grows our community and makes this a better country. 5th generation, 6th generations make sure that this facility and this institution can thrive and grow. I'm so honored. When I got the call from Steve Bloomer about this award, I started shaking because I knew my mom is just smiling, beaming. And I went out for a run before this to kind of clear my head and think about the words that I'm going to say. My grandfather and my great-grandfather are both in that cemetery out there just north of the campus. And I ran by there and I touched their graves and said, I'm doing this for you guys. I love you and thank you so much, and thank you, Monmouth College.
Our Young Alumnus Award is given by the Alumni Board to recognize the exceptional achievements of an alumnus aged 35 or younger for significant contributions, accomplishments, and/or demonstrated promise in the recipient's chosen field. Our Young Alumnus Award recipient has had a career's worth of accomplishments in the 10 years since she graduated. After leaving Monmouth, Kelli Wefenstette started a small eco-friendly craft business and co-founded and served as the director for the Urban Folk Circuit, Chicago's only year-round traveling craft market that connected mindful buyers to modern hand makers. During this time, she earned a master's degree in social justice and community development from Loyola University. She eventually found a professional home at Six Corners Association, a community economic development organization in Chicago, where she was named executive director. The success of her work in using art for economic development and her role in the revitalization of her neighborhood has gained city and statewide attention and was featured in the Chicago Tribune. In addition to her professional work, Kelli established a scholarship for a current Monmouth student committed to peace and social justice as a way of honoring her late brother, Brad. Kelli raises the funds for the scholarship and returns to campus each spring to meet the current year's recipient. Her nominators observed that Kelli is widely respected as a smart, savvy, thoughtful leader and organizer, embodying the qualities we cite in our mission statement as the goal of a Monmouth education. It is my pleasure to now introduce Kelli Wefenstette as the recipient of this year's Young Alumnus Award.
Good evening. It's such a pleasure to be here, and it really feels like hardly a day has passed, even though it's been 10 years since graduation. I came to Monmouth College from a small town near here, Cuba, Illinois, and upon meeting me, some of the first couple questions that people ask are, your town was how small? And after telling them I went to Monmouth College, why do you call your professors by their first names? I'll get more to that. Coming to Monmouth College as a first-generation student, college student, like you said, stepping on campus, I found a home here immediately that was close to my home. For me, attending Monmouth was the opportunity to explore an insatiable curiosity, which I still have today, I remember during my first visit, my tour guide at the time saying, if there's not a club or organization that you want to be involved with, just start your own. If you can't find a major, just start your own. And I think that's fitting as I work with entrepreneurs today. At Monmouth, I was involved in spiritual life, and RA, intramural sports, and I tried many internships. I just found a place where I could try so many new things, and I carry that with me constantly. I think the most important aspect of my education here was the opportunity as well to build connections with people. I was saying earlier today that I'm grateful for the experience to grow my community that started at Monmouth. For me, it gave me the chance to learn how to learn, both inside and outside of the classroom, to explore the connection between faith and social justice, to understand what that means in a larger context, to explore the connection between passion and turning that into your vocation and your work to affect long-term change. Certainly it helped that I met my spouse here. And soon Jimmy and I will celebrate 10 years of marriage as well. So there's a lot that came out of my education here. About halfway through my time at Monmouth, I learned about the Chicago Urban Studies program, and that changed the path that I was on from psychology and religious studies, which I major in, towards a focus on sociology, social movements, and social change. And it was at the urging of Steve Bubin, which I know he's here somewhere. He told me that I could cut my speech down, all the good things I was going to say about him in the interest of time. But through that connection with Steve, I was able to move to Chicago and explore that connection from small town to big city, and a quick introduction into Chicago politics and asset-based community development, community organizing, and what that means to have an active participation in your community. When I came back to Monmouth, I was ready to launch that next step. But ultimately, the tools that I gained here allowed me to ask the questions of how do people's experiences affect them, but also how do the communities with which we are raised in or participate in affect society. Today at Six Corners, I'm still asking those questions. We're an economic development agency, and I meet with business owners constantly, and I meet with city officials constantly, and I'm reminded of the leadership of my mentors at Monmouth, and how that plays a role in the conversations that I have every day. Sitting with people and asking them, what are you passionate about? What changes you? What are the resources that I can help connect you with, is something that the professors here at Monmouth taught by example to me. I was remarking to my husband on the way here that one of the most profound experiences was walking into a professor's office, into Hannah Schell's office, into Joan Wert's office on a Friday afternoon, and sitting for an hour talking about the books that we were reading or the research that we were doing. And at no point did they ever tell me to leave or that they were busy. And I use that now. My business owners come in and they say, thank you so much for taking that time to talk to me. It's these relationships, it's this gift of presence that Monmouth gave me that I feel will transform our communities. So for me, a liberal arts education is saying yes. Is saying yes to people, is saying yes to change, is saying yes in order to build relationships and stakeholders and people who care about the institutions and the communities that you're involved in. It's important to me to return to campus every spring and meet the scholarship award recipients for my brother's scholarship. These are some of the most fantastic students that Monmouth College will ever see pass through. And it's in sitting and talking with them, not necessarily about about what they're doing now, but where they came from and what they want to do, and then connecting with them once they leave campus, that I feel like we have the most impact in creating change. So I'm grateful for the time that my mentors gave me, and see that as the best gift that I can give to people in my professional work and in my personal life. So for me, Monmouth is saying yes to new experience, to people over profit, to life, to what comes next, and asking questions, being open to asking questions. And at Monmouth, I learned how to ask those questions. So for now, my work, I feel like, informs me and challenges me to ask, what is your greatest need, and how can I help meet that? What's the greatest need of our community, and how can I help meet that? I feel like it was Monmouth that gave me the tools to ask that question and to answer that question. So thank you.
The Distinguished Service Award is given by the Alumni Board to recognize outstanding service to Monmouth College by alumni, parents, and friends. Those who have received this award have shown what service above self means. We hope that our students grow the same passion and leadership as a Monmouth College supporter that has been shown by the current and past recipients. Our next honoree graduated from Monmouth College more than 30 years ago, but he has been a very familiar face on campus throughout the past several years, serving his alma mater in a variety of ways. Jeff Miller maintains a busy schedule as a new member of the staff at Genesis, and prior to that at Archer Daniels Midland and Rolls-Royce Corporation, yet he still finds time for Monmouth College. Since 2007, Jeff has been a member of the Monmouth College Alumni Board. He has served as Vice President and President, presiding at all the meetings of the board and the Executive Committee. Jeff has served on numerous committees and was instrumental in leading the board through a strategic planning process. During his time as board president, Jeff also served as a representative to the Monmouth College Board of Trustees. In addition to his service to alumni through board work, Jeff has frequently returned to give back to students by participating in programs such as Scott's Connection through our Wackerly Career and Leadership Center. His loyal support of his alma mater is evident through his philanthropy, his involvement in the annual golf outing, kilt and all, his service on class reunion committees, and his unwavering willingness to serve in any capacity asked. For all of those reasons, and for his valuable counsel and guidance, it is my pleasure to introduce Jeff Miller as the recipient of this year's Distinguished Service Award.
Writer Samuel Johnson once wrote, "It is a most mortifying reflection for a man to consider what he has done compared to what he might have done." I'm very humbled and honored to receive this award. Honestly, I was very stunned when Hannah called and said that I had won the award. I was driving back from work when I was still working in Decatur, almost drove off the road. So many thoughts ran through my head, and then I was reminded, oh, you need to speak at the ceremony. What could I say? What should I say? What is appropriate? So with those words from Samuel Johnson rattling around in my head, I thought I need to focus on how Monmouth has provided me with so much. It helped create that passion for lifelong learning. It helped me to consider things through a wide lens. It helped me know the difference between a batholith and a laccolith. Look that one up. It helped me confront my fear of failure, that fight or flight risk that we all have, to try new things like wearing a kilt in public, to understand that oftentimes we learn from our failures just as much as we, or even more so than we learn from our successes, and to see opportunities, not barriers. Public speaking has never been my aspiration, yet here I am. So thank you to the college and the Alumni Board for providing me potential for yet another opportunity to fail and learn. I'll keep this short. So the Distinguished Service Award, I started thinking, okay, what does that really mean? And I thought, service is defined as the act of helping or doing work. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to watch my parents and my wife, volunteer or work with volunteer professional boards. Thank you for your support, for modeling behavior, and being a sounding board for how to provide that service. So, coupling my fear of failure with the requirement to do work, I don't want it to become paralyzing that leads to procrastination. I tried to remember the words of Dale Carnegie. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. I'm sorry, I think I said that wrong. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. That noted philosopher, Michael Jordan, he said limits, like fear, is often an illusion. Don't fear failure. After all, that's how we learn to walk. Stand, fall, repeat. Oscar Wilde said, experience is simply the name we give our mistakes. Be positive. Don't be afraid of challenges. Don't avoid risk. Don't create or avoid conflict, but rather recognize what conflict is. It is a different perspective. Monmouth has taught me all of these things. Michelle Obama reminded us, you should never view your challenges as disadvantage. Instead, it is important for you to understand that your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of our biggest advantages. So, I'm trying to remember to be in the moment, listen, trust, be accountable, be honest, be ethical, engage, learn. Know that our differences are what make us stronger. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson observed, nobody reaches his or her full potential in isolation. As such, teaming, engaging with others is essential in life, and Monmouth has helped me understand both as a student and alumni to recognize my strengths and weaknesses. I can't do it alone. I shouldn't do it alone. Work with others, use our differences to create a greater whole. So how to create that greater whole, how to use strengths to overcome weaknesses, how to create a team that provides better services. Done a lot of reading, a lot of that continual education that Monmouth has taught me. The author consultant, Patrick Lencioni, has written several books about creation and success of teams, the 5 dysfunctions of teams, death by meeting, 3 signs of miserable jobs, and the ideal team player. Trying to keep those things in mind. And then recently, LinkedIn CEO Jeff Weiner recently posted about the people he most enjoys working with, and he did that Boolean theory thing, so you got to visualize the 3 circles. Dream big, get stuff done. He didn't use the word stuff. Get stuff done, know how to have fun. In working with students and alumni, I hope that in my engagements on behalf of the college, I have created a better whole, made it a worthwhile experience, and created opportunities for others to thrive. I accept this award as a reflection of the many people that I have learned from, teamed with, and encountered here at Monmouth. I will add that I have not maintained engagement with the college for awards like this. I remained engaged because the college has continually given things back to me, opportunities to network, to learn, and to overcome my fear of failure. Thank you.
Our next award winner is our distinguished alumnus. The award is given by the Alumni Board to recognize the exceptional achievements of an alumnus of Monmouth College who has distinguished him or herself through outstanding contributions and accomplishments in his or her chosen field. In addition, the recipient must have exhibited leadership qualities and/or evidence of civic, cultural, or charitable involvement. In the half-century since Eugene Turner graduated from Monmouth College, he has helped draw much-needed attention to the environmental issues along the Gulf Coast. An internationally recognized expert and researcher on coastal land loss, Gene is also an expert on nutrient cycling in wetlands, coastal restoration in the Gulf of Mexico, cause and effect of the dead zone in the Gulf, and water quality in the Midwest and its effects on the Mississippi River. He has also collaborated with his wife Nancy, who has received recognition as a MacArthur Foundation Fellow. At Louisiana State University, Gene has received the honor of Boyd Professor, the highest acknowledgement of faculty achievement at the university. In 2010, he was named LSU's Shell Endowed Chair in Oceanography Wetland Studies. Among many other honors, Gene has received the National Wetlands Award for Science Research, an honor co-sponsored by such organizations as the Environmental Protection Agency and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. In 1999, he received the prestigious Blasker Award for Environmental Science and Engineering. For a lifetime of important environmental research, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Eugene Turner, this year's recipient of Monmouth College's Distinguished Alumnus Award.
Looks just like you. I'm very honored, and I would have to say, based on my first 2 years of grades, you wouldn't have expected this. The Monmouth College has had a lot of patience with me over the years, those 4 years, and it took me about 2 years to get my kind of energy behind that before I started to wake up. And I'm at a very large school now, but I always advise students to consider going to a smaller liberal arts college, and kind of trade it as impersonal and large, or personal and small. And I really have gotten a lot of that out of me. It was the key for me to enter Drake University and then to work at the University of Georgia and another graduate degree, to work with other brilliant teachers, and each with their own flavor and content, but they were all excellent teachers. When I came to Monmouth from the East Coast, a whole new world opened up. It was not a strain to be here, but I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. And I remember the first lecture very clearly by David Allison saying something about population growth, and there was another couple of moments, things he made. Dr. Ketterer said something like he wanted to be reborn as a nematode worm because they were 99% in sexual liaison for their life, which is something that wasn't spoken of. And Dr. Cooksey coached me to Drake, and then which guided me to Georgia. Garrett Thiessen had a few lessons for the meager student, and they weren't just about chemistry, which is what he was known for. Dr. Sam Thompson had an enthusiastic student who read the subject matter, just not the assignments. Dr. Buchholz literally had notes on skeletons, and also in other notes that he gave us about life and besides biology. I tried different sports, and I found various diverse ways to lose at wrestling. And they were kind of fun. And the farm fields I loved walking through at the time, I really did like that because it was all rather new to me, are things that 2 decades later I learned had a lot to do with water quality down at the bottom of the river, and which I eventually studied. So each year there's an expanding urban footprint and dwindling appreciation for the outdoors, for the environment, for where our food comes from. We often have kind of a view that our food system is 2 trophic levels away from reality. for a lot of us, and we're losing that. And when I came here to Monmouth, there were about 5 acres per person on the planet of inhabitable land. And then at the end of this century, there's going to be 1.5 acres. That's for everything, for oil, cell phones, McDonald's, everything that we're going to have to get out of there. And that seems a bit of a stretch, actually. So our collective well-being depends upon our having relationships with each other and learning how to get along, and also to have these interactions in a constructive way, warts and all. And this is it. And so I think a healthy future requires clear thinking and also an awakened heart. And Monmouth College, I would have to say, helped me understand this. So here's a metaphor for you. I organized meetings, and one of the tour guides, to find out where to go, told me he's a social scientist or worker. And he said there were 22 people with addictions of sex, alcohol, opium, whatever, and that they were 20 people that were compromised by that relationship. And they had no clue. They're clueless about both the consequences and their involvement in that. And so I would say that the same empiricism says that if you have a constructive relationship, you have 22 people that you're also going to affect. And if we're skillful at it, we'll have 22 times 5 times 10 more people involved if we engage and play a role and be authentic in that. So it's in our blood, actually, and our well-being depends upon that. And I want to just close with a couple memorable classmates, one of us, which you're here, a couple of them. So Payson Wild is still active in Monmouth life. He was my first roommate. Tom Oswald and I went to Mexico after college, and I won't tell you about the stories on that, but we worked together. And Dean Atkinson taught me about theater. Barbara Henry lives nearby, and I've lost track of Gary Knowles, a wrestling buddy, and Rick Pash, a wrestling buddy who lived in New England. I hope all is well with those. And somebody who I had only an upperclassman at the time, had a brief connection with, Marshall Peterson, introduced me to service at a home in Monmouth for the elderly, and also for working with emotionally disturbed kids. Now, I'm not a professional, but that just expands your world and your relationships, and I hope he did some good with that. And then Wendell is here, Wendell Shaman, and he showed up on Louisiana's coast. I hadn't seen him from all of college, and he was informed about agriculture, I admit it, and he was learning about the dead zone. He was expanding outward, and which is something I studied with my dear wife, Nancy Ravelay, and we're involved with that. And the last note, it was a hard day looking for Don Isaacson's name on the Vietnam War Memorial. So, several times. Monmouth College gave me many, many ways and a template to move forward, and all of you are part of me, and I want to thank you very much. And I just quote from a poem that there was a child went forth by Walt Whitman, abstracted and shortened, but these became part of that child who went forth every day, who now goes and will always go forth every day, and these become of him and her that uses him now. So I know we've moved on, but we're also still part of all of us. And I want to thank you very much. I feel very honored. Thank you.
The fifth award we are presenting this evening is not awarded to a Monmouth College graduate, but rather to a member of our faculty who has had a significant impact on our graduates. To present the Hatch Award for Distinguished Teaching, please welcome David Timmerman, Dean of the Monmouth College Faculty.
Thank you. Our 2017 Hatch Excellence in Teaching Award winner is Professor Chris Fasano. Chris earned his Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Notre Dame and his Master of Science and PhD in Physics from the University of Chicago. If an axiom is a self-evident truth that requires no proof, then Professor Fasano is known for his adherence to the following axiom. Every student can master physics. Every student can master physics. Do you lack a solid background in science from your high school experience? It does not matter. Every student can master physics. You have not had much success with math yet? It doesn't matter. Every student can master physics. Do you struggle to visualize complex physical operations? You get the idea. You can master physics. By the way, as you might guess, there is an indispensable second point to his sermon, and it goes like this. You can master physics, but to do so, you will need to put the time, effort, and effort into learning, and it will be hard. Very hard. There is no other way. And it will take hard work, not for a week or a semester, but for every semester that you are here. And I know that beneath all of this, and this axiom, is an unshakable respect that Chris has for students, their intellect, their experiences, and their souls. I have personally heard Chris Fasano preach this sermon many times. But even better, I have seen the students who have walked down the aisle, taken the physics courses, struggled but stayed with it, and then persisted in the major to graduation. It is a wonder to behold. And you will find Chris here early in the mornings and into the evening and on weekends working with students, providing the support they need. High challenge, high support. He is tireless in this. And so Chris is a model faculty member in terms of the focus, energy, and creativity he brings to teaching and learning. Chris is also a model in the way he has morphed himself to adapt his teaching and the teaching of his discipline to undergraduates. Chris is a theoretical physicist, but by and large, theoretical physics is not a part of the undergraduate curriculum. And so, over the years, he has morphed himself into an experimentalist. He has an ongoing NSF-funded project studying X-rays in lightning with our students. He conducts research using our neutron generator with our students. And he is involved in a precision agriculture project with our students and local farmers, taking data from the fields and writing and adapting a computer algorithm to use this data to help farmers make the complex decisions they must to be efficient and sustainable. And then, working with colleagues Laura Moore in chemistry and Christine Myers in history, he has propagated and encouraged this approach beyond physics to all our disciplines with our successful Sophia program, where each August, roughly 25 faculty members and roughly 85 students conduct research together in the arts, the humanities, the social sciences, and the sciences. Oh, did I mention a new drone project he's working with? I don't know much about it myself, and I think that's one of those things I don't want to know much about. And in each of these research projects, he works to find the part of the project each of the students can attach to and be successful. This student on this part, these two students on this other part. The image that comes to my mind is a stage performer who spins plates on sticks and keeps them spinning, except the plates in this case are the individual students working on substantive research projects. And finally, a word about Chris's office. No, not about the organizational status. I refer instead to the wonderful candy jars, multiple candy jars, and the fact that the office door is always open even when he is not there. Now, I admit, I fully understand that these are for students, but on occasion, I have myself, check that, multiple occasions per week, and I have found a way to do a flyby of his office and reach productively into those candy jars. I understand Chris uses the level of the candy in the jars to measure the stress level of students. It may also work as well to measure the stress level of this dean. But isn't it common for physicists to learn that they have measured more than they thought they were measuring? Chris, for your excellence in teaching, the morphing you have done as a physicist, and your great concern for all aspects of the lives of our students, we are happy to honor you with the 2017 Hatch Excellence Award in Teaching.
Well, I'm not used to talking in less than 50-minute intervals. But I'll be brief. Thank you very much for this honor. It really is a pleasure to be at a place where students are first and where we help students succeed. So students succeed, we help them succeed. And what we do is we try to get them to solve problems, to write well, to speak well, and to think well. That's what we do as instructors, and that's what we do at Monmouth College. And many of you help us in so many ways to do that, and it's just wonderful. But it's more than that. We want them to be successful people, not just successful thinkers. And we want them to be able to talk to others. We want them to be able to be confident, to take risks, to be good people. As Aquinas said, wonder is the desire for knowledge. And Michelangelo said, still I am learning when he was 87. That's what we want. We want students that do that. And I think the most empowering thing that we do for students is to get them to do those things. I talk to them a lot about this, that if they can do those things, they will be unstoppable. And that's the phrase I use. And I think that's really important for students and their parents to hear. They'll be unstoppable if you can do those things. So I think it's really important work, and I feel really privileged to be able to help students do that, discover and succeed. That's just wonderful. It's a joy. So there's lots of talk right now about millennials. Okay, I'm going to say something. We have wonderful students. You don't need to worry. We're all going to be just fine in their hands. Okay? I mean, they're going to be unstoppable, and we're helping them do that. So just wonderful, bright students. So to finish, I said I would be brief. I have to talk about a physicist. I have to. I can't help it. So I'm going to talk about Robert Goddard. Robert Goddard was the father of American rocketry. He's often forgotten. He wore baggy clothes, and he laughed at silly jokes. People laughed at him. He invented every principle and tested every principle of modern rocketry that allowed spaceflight to be possible. He spent tireless time in the desert working, tirelessly, till 3 o'clock in the morning often. Sometimes when he was sick, he would sit out and watch the stars and think about traveling. He wrote to his friend H.G. Wells, and he used a phrase which I like a lot. He wrote of morning in the desert, when the impossible not only seems possible, but easy. I thank you for the opportunity to help students find their own morning in the desert, when they find the impossible not only possible, but easy. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Maher, and it's my honor and privilege as Director of Development and Alumni Engagement to introduce our final two awards of the evening and honor the newest inductees into the Monmouth College Hall of Achievement. I'm sure we're all familiar with the advertising campaign, "You're in good hands with Allstate." I'm reminded of that phrase when it comes to the behind-the-scenes world of United States intelligence. We're in good hands with our Hall of Achievement inductee, the Honorable Susan Gibson. Appointed in 2016 by President Obama, Susan is the Inspector General for the National Reconnaissance Office. In announcing her as the first presidentially appointed and Senate-confirmed Inspector General of the National Reconnaissance Office, the office's director cited her extensive intelligence community experience and superior integrity. Headquartered in Northern Virginia, the National Reconnaissance Office is the federal agency in charge of designing, building, launching, and maintaining America's intelligence satellites. It is one of the main U.S. intelligence agencies, along with the Central Intelligence Agency and others. Prior to joining the NRO, Susan was Principal Deputy General Counsel for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, where she provided legal guidance on intelligence reform, government procurement and fiscal law, privacy and information sharing, ethics, and administrative law. Previously, Susan served for more than 20 years in the Army Judge Advocates General Corps, retiring as a colonel. It is my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Susan Gibson for induction into Monmouth College's Hall of Achievement.
Fellow alumni and friends of Monmouth College. It's a great honor to be here this evening and to be inducted into the Hall of Achievement. And to be inducted by Monmouth College, which is an institution that I have a great respect for, and really, it's hard to explain exactly how it shaped your life when you come here, and I'm going to try to do that. I was asked to speak very briefly and worked real hard to sort of boil down my thoughts about Monmouth. And when you get an award at this point in your career, you kind of have to climb into that Wayback Machine and go, what was it that made it so different? And what is it when you think about your time at Monmouth that really makes it special? And I think I've boiled it down to just a couple of essential things, which is good because there's been a lot of speakers and I'm the second to the last one, so I'll try to keep it short. The two most important things that spring to mind are curiosity and courage. I think at Monmouth, as a first-generation college student, and I heard that there's still a real focus on bringing first-generation students here, and I think that's a great thing. When I first visited, Monmouth felt different from other schools. And I think the big thing was that it felt like a college that was very supportive. They wanted not only for you to learn, but they were going to be there for you. You knew you would get those personal relationships at the school that maybe you wouldn't get in other places. Really caring about the students and their growth. And it created a really safe place to do that too. Anything you wanted to explore, if you were interested in it, whatever it was, they were like, just go do it. I heard Kelli talking about, you know, if you wanted the club, you could develop the club. If you wanted to do this, you could do whatever. And that's truly the way it was. It's a very supportive environment, encouraged curiosity. And from that curiosity, then, you learn courage. Because when you try new things and terrible things don't happen and you survive whatever you try, then you've got the courage to go out and try something new. And really, you do try again. You don't always succeed, but it is that success when you make it and the living through it when you don't make it that gets you through life and that lets you keep going on and trying that next thing. So for me, I started to think, okay, so what was it about Monmouth? What did you do when you were here that made it so different? I didn't come from a big science background. I didn't do physics, though, sorry.
Should have taken my class.
I know. But so I came to get a business major. But, you know, this is a liberal arts college, so there are core courses that you have to take. So when I took my first science course with a lab, it was geology. I fell in love. You know, so I ended up with a double major in business and geology, and I spent a lot of time with Dr. Lyman Williams up in the hall. Doing hard science because rocks are hard, right? But you know, it's that sort of thing. Now I'm at the National Reconnaissance Office. I'm a lawyer surrounded by folks who are literally rocket scientists. And that ability to just say, okay, I don't understand it. Explain it again, explain it again, explain it again. And that's what gets you through it. And you learn to do that here, and you were fearless about it because it was so encouraged. What else did you do? They convinced me to go work at the radio station, and I ended up with a show. Like, who would have thought? I took voice lessons, lots of voice lessons. Poor Dick. He put up with me so well. You know, and I wasn't a music major. but took voice lessons and ended up, as I was remembering in sort of a horrible flashback, being the soloist for the Bach Magnificat. I wasn't supposed to be, but the woman who was the mezzo, for some reason, I don't even know why, a couple weeks before the performance, was unable to perform, and Dick comes and he goes, "You're gonna do it." And I'm like, "I'm gonna do what?" And you know, that takes real courage. And you're like, there's no way you can do it. And you get through it, and you do it, and it's in some ways life-changing. Being the Rush chairman for a sorority, I sung in my first and only Sondheim musical. We were talking about that earlier. That really, really popular one, The Frogs of Aristophanes. It was, oh, no, I'm not gonna say that. But you know, like anything you wanted to do. So a business and geology major, and what did I do most of the time I was at Monmouth? I was singing. And it just like makes you think you can do anything. So it gives you the freedom, the encouragement to be curious, and that stayed with me throughout my life. Gave me the courage to try new things and learn new things and say yes to new challenges. And that's made my path through life really interesting. It's also inspired me to provide that same freedom and encouragement to the people I've had the honor to mentor. And I like to think that it's sort of created a virtuous Monmouth ripple effect, where what you do sort of builds from on the people around you. Of course, I guess I should say too that Monmouth gave me a really good liberal arts education. And that's not a minor thing in today's world. It laid an incredibly solid foundation for my study of law, allowed me to tackle some really, really hard but really interesting national security problems throughout my career. So curiosity and courage and inspiration and knowledge, it's a pretty good combination, and it's a great foundation that I received from Monmouth that served me well throughout my life. And I can't thank Monmouth College enough, and now I have one more thing to say thank you for. So thank you.
Our next inductee said he had an epiphany during his time as a student at Monmouth College. While in chemistry lab late one Friday afternoon, he realized the place he really wanted to be was the college radio station doing his Friday night show. As it turns out, chemistry's loss was radio's gain, as Lon Helton has become one of the most recognizable voices in country music. Lon has hosted Country Countdown USA since 1992, and it's for that work he has been named the Country Music Association's National Broadcast Personality of the Year honor 8 times. Most recently in 2016, and received the same honor from the Academy of Country Music 4 times, most recently this year. Following a radio career that began in Monmouth and took him through Galesburg, Denver, Chicago, and Los Angeles, Lon spent 23 years as country editor of the industry trade publication Radio and Records, before founding the country trade publication Country Air Trek in 2006. Lon has been a member of the Country Music Association's Board of Directors for 33 years. He also currently serves on the boards of Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, the CMA Foundation, and the National Corvette Museum. He is also a founder of Country Cares for St. Jude's Kids. Since 1989, country radio and the country music community have raised more than $700 million for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis. In 2006, Lon was inducted into the Country Radio Hall of Fame. Tonight, we are pleased we can induct him again, this time as one of 2 new members in the Monmouth College Hall of Achievement. Please join me in welcoming Lon Helton.
In the interest of historical accuracy, it should probably be noted that my change in direction, that epiphany, was driven largely by organic chemistry and differential equations. Perhaps if Dr. Fasano had been here in the early 70s, I might still be involved in chemistry. But, over the course of the next few minutes, I'm probably going to say the word we a lot, and I thought I'd start by introducing the other part of we, my wife, Ann Buckhouse Helton, who is a graduate of Monmouth College, class of 1973. We met here, and she was a Kappa and a music major, so we spent a lot of time at Austin Hall. It was really kind of serendipitous that you guys were the family of the year, because we did spend so much time there, and I'm probably the only person to ever say this, in the beloved, missed Little Theater. You know, one time, the theater department and the music department got together and did a play, a musical called The Fantastics. And if you're familiar with The Fantastics, there's only one female part in the show. Well, she was the lead. And we did not know each other before that. We met there and dated. And at one point, my advisor, Dr. James D. Young, advised me that dating your leading lady was really not a good idea. There were serious potential pitfalls. Just one of the many things I did not listen to when I was here, but luckily the show did go on and we made it. But the time we spent at the Little Theater in Austin Hall, as we walk the campus today and see Austin Hall celebrate, it's just fabulous. And it's just truly amazing to be standing here today. It was actually 50 years ago this month that I came here as a high school senior to, you know, do your college trip and all that kind of stuff. And to be standing here now, 45 years after graduation, getting this incredible honor is more than I could have ever imagined. I mean, I think my sense of achievement during the 4 years I was here was making an 8 a.m. class, which I didn't accomplish on a regular basis. You know, I was honored with the Distinguished Alumnus Award in 2010, and as I sat there then, as I sit here today, and you hear these amazing resumes, amazing accomplishments of people, the things they've done, the ways they've affected the world and the lives of other people, and it's astounding, and you go, well, what is the common thread? And the common thread is Monmouth College, because that's the role of this liberal arts college. You know, when I changed directions from chemistry to other things, you know, I didn't have to change schools. Everybody said, when I decided I wanted to be in radio, it's like, well, you have to go to SIU. That's a great radio school. And yet, I don't know that going anywhere else I could have had the hands-on experiences that you have here. And that's a thread here through everybody here who speaks, is they got to do things. You know, I was talking to Douglas Hughes earlier. Is he still here somewhere? Never met him before, but he came up and said that he was on the radio station here. Talking to Susan earlier, she was on the radio here, as she said, and all the things you said really embody my thoughts and feelings on this place, this liberal arts school where you can do things. You may not follow that path, but I'll bet you every now and then something you either learned in the theater or learned in Sound of Five or picked up on the radio, you probably use and maybe don't even know it. But we all get to do things here. You get to get your hands dirty and be involved and get stuff done. And there's nothing like that opportunity. Because all you can do, I mean, you have absolutely no control of your life after you leave here. All you can do is try to be adaptive and adaptive and flexible and prepared. And what you hear people say here all the time is that they were prepared when they left here. They were ready when somebody said to you, gave you an opportunity and said, can you do this? And you went in your mind, well, probably not. But you said yes, and then you figured it out along the way. It really is amazing. I don't know that what I've just done through the course of time to deserve to be here. I mean, you hear these resumes, and I go, well, I did follow radio as a career and a disc jockey. And you see these other resumes, and you kind of think, wow, what have I done to be here? Because all I think I've ever really done is try to figure out how to connect whatever talents I might have had with my passion and figure out where they intersected and just try to follow that as best as you can and just kind of stumble upwards, I guess. the other thing, about this place has been said by other people, are the professors here who take the time, and I'm glad to hear from Dr. Fasano in the introduction that still happens, because both Ann and I are honored here to have our advisors here. Dr. James DeYoung is here, her advisor. Dr. Richard Griffiths is here. You talk about people who saw the good and the bad and the ugly through the course of time, but without a doubt help mold you into who we are today. And I don't know we'd be the same people without having had you guys in our lives, and we can't thank you enough. Truly inspiring to be here, and this probably isn't the time and place to do this kind of stuff, but first thing that Ann and I would like to do is contribute to the DeYoung Educational Theater Endowment that Dr. DeYoung started in the name of his father, and this really surprises me too. And by the way, when you make your living speaking and then you go last in a program, it's really tough, because people expect you to say things. And then you get a funny attorney and a hilarious physicist. What is that? So anyway, as we walked, or in my case, rode, I'm kind of recovering from this strange thing called Guillain-Barré syndrome, but as we visited the places that we spent time at here in school, we probably have always known this, but it really hit home today that it is so important to pay it forward. When you're fortunate enough to have had some success and you can help others. So we would like to announce, and Jan Wynn Bigler has been working with us, and we haven't told her this either, but we would like to fund an endowment. And we can figure all that out later, how and what, but I think we'll do that. But every time we come back, we realize how important Monmouth College was to us in our lives. And thank you for this.
It is now my honor and privilege to introduce Monmouth College's 14th president, Dr. Clarence Wyatt. As many of you know from following the news events of the last year, Monmouth College is on a roll. Last June, Monmouth closed the books on one of its strongest fundraising years, more than $10.8 million raised to support our students, the third most amount of money raised in one school year in college history. The college's number of donors increased 225 from the previous year, up to nearly 3,800, and 52% of Monmouth's faculty and staff made gifts to the college, which is the highest percentage among associated colleges of the Midwest. And on April 18th, in this very room, the college celebrated its inaugural Scott's Day of Giving. In one day, 533 alumni and friends from all 50 states joined together to give nearly $170,000 to support the college's students. Of course, the big news in April came on April 24th. That's when the college received its largest commitment of $20 million. It's been said that people give to institutions in which they believe, but they also give to institutions whose leadership they also believe in. Because of President Wyatt's vision and leadership, Monmouth enjoys a near record level of support from its alumni and friends. Monmouth also continues to rise in the national rankings. Thanks to a growing national reputation among our peer schools and high school counselors, Monmouth College jumped 12 spots this year in U.S. News and World Report's Best Colleges. Only 80 schools, which is less than 5% evaluated by the U.S. News and World Report, increased 10 or more spots this year. In the last 2 years, Monmouth's national ranking has increased by 20 spots. Monmouth is also up in the Washington Monthly's College Guide and Rankings National Universities Liberal Arts category. Monmouth is ranked number 70 in that respected publication, up 7 spots from its 2016 ranking, and an 89-spot jump over the last 2 years. Also in this year's Washington Monthly ranking, Monmouth was rated number 19 out of 364 colleges in the Midwest as being a school that is best bang for the buck. As today's earlier announcement indicates, more big things are on the horizon for the college. Please join me in welcoming Monmouth's president, Dr. Clarence Wyatt, to the podium.
First off, Lonnie, let me say there's never a bad time and place to talk about getting to the college. Hannah, thank you for that kind introduction. Hannah talked about the accomplishments of the college over the last few years, and if the stories of our award recipients this evening and their testimonies, which is exactly what they were, if it tells us anything, it tells us that accomplishment does not happen in isolation. It does not happen alone. There is a web that surrounds each of us, a web of support, a web of inspiration, a web that commits us to excellence, a web that commits us to perseverance, a web that ties us together in love. I mean, you heard love expressed tonight, love for family, love for friends, love for devoted faculty and staff, love for each other, and love for this institution. So let me thank each one of you, those who are faculty and staff, past and present, who have helped to construct those webs of support, to the alumni, trustees, friends of the college, parents of students, current and past, who have devoted themselves to this institution. Thank, in particular, this weekend, members of our alumni and development staff, Katie Shipp, who is the maestra of the weekend. Hannah Maher is providing excellent leadership to the Alumni Development Office this year. As always, the key person in my web of support, Logie Stone. This is an extraordinary event. It is one of our very favorite events of the year because it reminds us of the power that resides in Monmouth College. We tap that power. Chris, I'll venture on dangerous ground. We tap that power. There is no power in the universe that can stop it. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, a wonderful homecoming. Go Scots!